And now a word from our sponsor, Gerry's Wholesale Sausage Emporium. Are retail hot dog prices making you crazy? Come on down to Gerry's for all your discount dog needs. Was this?
Yep, there you go. Discount dog needs, my friends. Let's see, who is all here today? We got Gambit. We got Snorty is here. Morning, Snorty. Hello. And Classic Comics is here. Good morning, buddy. Hope everybody's having a good Monday. Boy. Hell of a weekend.
Yeah.
My poor daughter. My poor daughter calls me yesterday, like, it's World War III out there. I said, no, it's not. Not yet. I said, look at your dad.
That's a good remark.
Look at your dad. Look at your dad. When this face gets panicky, that's when you start getting panicky. In fact, this morning I was watching 2CTV, and that is the channel that I really love to watch. He's a Persian expat, and I'm not sure where he lives. I suspect Great Britain, but with his critical remarks about Great Britain, I'm not sure, because they don't like criticism over there of their country at all, and they'll arrest you for it, harass you. I saw the movie a long time ago, thought it was pretty good. I loved it when all their arms were seized and they had, I know, right? It's like they spend all their money to have this great equipment and then get it all taken away. And I was really kind of surprised that they didn't have a contingency plan if that happened, because I was a little surprised that they should have been aware that they were being spied on. Just automatically assume you're being spied on. So, but this was the first movie to deal with this stuff, and it led to Rambo: First Blood Part 2, 2 years later, and a year later with Missing in Action with Chuck Norris as Braddock. And my big complaint at the time, and this may be why I didn't see the movie when it was in theaters or on home video. And I love Gene Hackman. I've always wanted to see this movie, but it may be one of the reasons why I didn't see it until we watched it the other day. It was the first time I ever watched the movie. I know all about it. I mean, I know a lot of shit about this movie, but I know a lot about a lot of movies that I've never seen. And I was always concerned that the more attention they brought through film on POWs and MIAs in Vietnam, the less likely you were going to find them alive. Because I feared that by bringing attention to it without doing something about it could get these guys killed. But what we ended up learning was they pretty much returned all the guys. But what we've learned over the last, 50 years is that some of the people assimilated into Vietnam, and they found a lot of children and villages that knew these guys or talked about them, or have children living there that are half white or less as more time goes by. Cobb had that grenade. Yeah, I love that scene, how he carries that grenade around his neck from the very beginning, because that's your first real description of him is him and that fucking grenade around his neck, because it's actually said to Gene Hackman's character. But anyway, it always worried me that making movies while not actually actively doing something about POW MIAs was potentially going to get them killed, because nobody wanted to get caught red-handed with them. And that may have happened. I don't know. There's no proof. But it was a concern I had, and it's why I thought it was a bad idea to be making movies about rescuing Vietnam War prisoners and soldiers that were MIA. And I got to remind you, there are a lot of cases where guys pulled a beg doll and just fucking walked off. Because these guys weren't like us. We were an all volunteer army when I served. We wanted to be there. And not everybody wanted to be a real soldier, because a lot of guys I knew, well, a handful of guys, because I didn't actually know that many, that were solely there for their the GI Bill to pay for their college. And that was all. And we had one guy in my platoon when the ground war started to escalate in Iraq. We had this one guy, and I got so fucking angry at him because he wanted to get the fuck out of there. And he called his parents to pull a favor, and they got him removed from being a medic and getting an office job. He wanted to be a clerk. And I'm like, that's kind of a pussy move, you know? That is what it is. It's interesting, yeah. I think Deer Hunter may have kicked off the whole Vietnam movie trend.
Oh God, that movie.
Yeah, it's so funny because I just watched Vietnam War Historian, and this guy actually travels through the U.S. Department of, I forget what department he's in, but he goes over there and he does tours and explains, the history of the Vietnam War, and he's fairly accurate. I've watched him talk about it, and I'm like, yeah, you're pretty. He's got a new documentary coming out about the My slaughter, which is going to tell me where he stands politically. Either you're politically neutral and tell it accurately, or you're politically left, and then you immediately start throwing the slant in there. And it's like when you hear, what was her name, Janine Garofalo on Fox and Friends talking about the Gulf of Tonkin Bay and what happened here. I'm like, that's not what happened. What are you talking about? And a historian actually went after her, like, that's not what happened. Yes, it did. Like, okay. The Deer Hunter, I think, hit a soft spot with people. And the problem with the Deer Hunter, this guy went after it, was fairly inaccurate in how it depicted a lot of stuff. And it's a good film, don't get me wrong, but it's a movie that I've seen twice in my life, and I don't think I ever want to see it again. I would think I would be happy if I die never having seen it again. And I only watched it that last time just so we could all talk about it on here. Good morning, Emmanuel. Are things shaking up over there in France yet in a good way? But I still like that First Blood has a hero who is badly. No. I think that is a good film, because I got to tell you, I watched firsthand Vietnam vets, my brother, getting mistreated when we picked him up. And I was like 5 years old, and I still remember it to this day. People yelling at my brother as we're leaving, and some girl spitting on him.
What?
Yeah. That's why when I meet a Vietnam vet, I always tell them, welcome home. Too many of them didn't get that. Politics, man. People let their politics. You think you're more humane, and yet you do some of the most inhumane shit. We've seen it on the news. We've all seen it. People too far left of center, just being vicious. It's messing with Martin's money. I'm bummed. I missed PCM's Equilibrium movie show. I'd pit a Grammaton cleric against John Wick any day. I got to tell you, man, The thing about John Wick is he bases his fight off who he's approaching. So he might actually know some shit that, and if it weren't for Equilibrium, there probably wouldn't have been a John Wick. I swear to God, I just want to squirt her right now when she does this. Really?
Oh,
Fuck
that's
you.
There's nothing I can do. I gave her a treat. She's fed. She should be sleeping now.
And the audience love her.
Come here, good kitty.
Good morning, John Osteen. I hope you're doing okay. I hope your lady's doing good too. So this movie, I wanted to watch it for years. I've owned it for years, and yet it feels like I went out of my way to not watch it. And I don't understand why I would do that, because it's actually a good film. I do like it.
I couldn't believe it when you told me that it was a first watch for you. We don't get that, really. Unless it's a new show on TV.
There are no 3 dots on that one, Martin.
Oh,
Yeah, that should be that key comment that needs to be removed.
There's no way to remove it.
yeah.
On Kick,
I
there
have.
is.
Yeah, but not here. We don't have managerial control over the chat there. So,
That
but thank
sounds
goodness
good.
nobody has to see that over here on YouTube or Twitter. In the book, he screwed up. If you know anything about the author, he was kind of an asshole. He had a political slant about the Vietnam era, which is why if you read the book, John Rambo kind of an asshole in the book. So I don't like that guy, so fuck him. But I do like what Stallone did, because Stallone had a greater respect for Vietnam veterans. He avoided the draft himself by going to school overseas. And it's always bothered me, that he did that. Sort of like the way John Wayne avoided being drafted. And then years later, of course, it would be his greatest regret. Part of that's because of the way John Ford treated him. Because he called him out for being yellow. He called him yellow to his face in front of people.
Why yellow?
Yeah, he was. There is a hint to it in the movie. It's a visual hint. I think it has, as I recall, it's his desk. That there's an award there.
Yes.
It's a Korean War award. Well, what he hated was also how he wrote the character, because he had him trying to do Arnold, trying to say funny shit. And I got to tell you, Stallone's not good at that. He is terrible at one-liners. His humor is better when it's subtle. And they even kept one line in the movie where he's in the truck with the guy stealing the truck from him, the deuce and a half. And it's like something about safety, or I can't remember what the hell it is. It's just a dumb line, throwaway line. Stallone is terrible at those kinds of quips. If there was an actor that was designed not to deliver quips, that's the guy, Stallone. Am I getting a delay, guys?
No, you're fine.
Okay. It's telling me I'm down to 1 bar right now on Wi-Fi. But anyway, Uncommon Valor has some great stuff in it. First off, there are actually quite a few of the cast that are actual military veterans. You've got Gene Hackman, former Marine. Fred Ward served in the Air Force. Let's see, Tim Thomerson. And I've said this time and time before, if you've never looked it up, he served during the Vietnam War conflict in the California National Guard with Brian James. They weren't just best friends. They've known each other since they served together. What's got in the way of the film? Yeah. Okay, good, Ostains. Thank you, John. So there's some funny stories about the making of this film. One of the funniest is the guy who came up with the story and wrote the first draft of the script. And I'm going to share this with you because I really, it kind of blows my fucking mind when I find out who wrote that fucking movie. And there we go. Let me get that. Present, share tab. Oh, good God. I could talk about this guy all day long because he's just so fucking goofy. This is one of the weirdest actors to ever come to Hollywood. And I can't say that I liked him at all. I'm about ready to end our show on Kick because these guys are fucking annoying. These bots.
Yeah, all we ever get from them is bots.
But I am taking care of them.
Are we getting views over there?
I don't know. But anyway, so this is Wings Hauser. And if you don't know him, he had a prolifically bad career in the 80s as a B to C movie action hero. He was not a good actor. Unlike his son, who's a great actor, Cole Hauser.
And very good looking.
And a guy who he tried to have a relationship with his dad, couldn't have one. And after hearing what he had to say here, when I read this to you, you're going to fucking laugh. So let me begin this. So the film began with a screenplay by actor Wings Hauser, who says he was inspired by stories of a childhood friend, Gerry Dickerson, who had been to Vietnam. Quote, I saw that he had left something behind in Vietnam, and that triggered the whole thing. And then I became aware of MIA's and POW situation and said, well, that will be the excuse to go back to Nam and get the POWs. And I'm like, who talks like this? Who talks like this? Anyway, so Hauser said it took him 18 months to write the script. Right there, it tells me that he's not a prolific writer. John Milius. We all know who John Milius is. Conan the Barbarian. He wrote. It's like Francis Ford Coppola says. You know the best scenes and best quotes that you like to repeat from the movie Apocalypse Now. Those were all written by John Milius. He's a prolific writer. He's been brought into doctor scripts. He gave us that Indianapolis speech in Jaws, one of the greatest speeches. And that's really what he brought to this, because he wasn't a screenwriter. He was the producer of this film. But he did jump in there and do some doctoring. And he brought in two great speeches in this film. And my favorite is the scene where Gene Hackman's character is saying goodbye to some of the guys, knowing that there's a good chance they're not going to see each other again. And he quotes Julius Caesar. And that just stinks of John Milius. And but he became attached. The script was written by Joe Gayton, and I'm going to go into him in a minute. But Hauser lost his screenplay credit in arbitration, but he did receive a sole story by credit in the film. He's also listed as an associate producer, which I explained to Anima yesterday. That's usually given to somebody who gave head to the producer, the actual producer. They usually get an associate producer credit.
You
for
say
not
that's
having
given
done
to
it.
people who didn't do shit.
They
Those
didn't
were
do-
your words.
I just said it. I just said that as you were talking over me. Is that it's given to people who didn't really do anything. And like I said, it's usually given to a guy or girl that gave the producer or director head. It's a sex trade. So Wings got fucking story credit, story by, and he's listed as an associate producer. But he was very bitter about this shit. So in 1989, Hauser said, without any restriction of comments, because it's too many years later, it's 8 years later. Quote, John Milius is a scumbag right-wing bastard, and I can't wait for his day to die. That son of a bitch. The other guy who got the credit for writing the screenplay, he was a punk. I don't think he's sold anything since, and I have, and he's a joke. Whoever wrote this doesn't know punctuation. So his sentences all run together. It's fucking weird. Although that might be just the way Wings Hauser talks, because he's a fucking nut job, and I think he probably came up with a good idea, and it got turned over to somebody with a little more skill. And let me tell you something about Joe Gayton, the screenwriter. He created Hell on Wheels, one of the best Western TV shows ever made. At least it was up until the last season. I'm not too fond of that last season. Joe Gayton, he wrote Faster for The Rock, as well as directed, by the way. And he also did the movie Bulletproof, which is a halfway decent film with Damon Wayans and Adam Sandler. It's an on-the-run buddy film. But the guy did, let's see, let me just name some film. As a director, he did The Warm Summer Rain back in 89, Mind Ripper back in 95 with Lance Hendrickson. Then he also did Shout with, which is a kind of a halfway decent film. It's not great, with John Travolta. Bulletproof, which is the one I mentioned with Damon Wayans and Adam Sandler. Got some funny moments in it. And then he did Faster with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Billy Bob Thornton. It's not a bad film. And he was a co-creator of Hell on Wheels, one of the best TV shows. So, Wings, what did you do? Oh, you did a stint on a good Vietnam War series while having never served a fucking day in your life. So, anyway, I'm not very respectful of fucking Wings Hauser. Fuck that guy. So the movie opens, and by the way, I want to point out these are real rice paddies, and all the Vietnam scenes were shot in Hawaii, which I think works. Got the right look. The only thing it lacks is red soil, and that was something that was prolific in the minds of many Vietnam vets, is how fucking red the soil was.
Well, that was also one of the problems with Full Metal Jacket, because he wouldn't fly, so they had to shoot in England. And of course, the soil wouldn't match.
Exactly. Oh, I'll be back.
Okay. Hey,
She did it again.
Ah, well.
Yeah, I did, because we were 23 minutes into the show.
Yeah, but when Gerry was going with freaking Wings Hauser, I never expected that from that guy.
Oh, he's a nut job. So John Milius went in there and did do some touch-ups on the script. Paramount sent Grayton's script to director Ted Kotcheff late in '83. The following month, it came out that James Grips, a former lieutenant colonel in the Green Berets and the man that both the characters Rambo and Hannibal Smith were based on, had led a secret mission into Laos the previous November to search for MIA American soldiers, which ended when they were ambushed by Laotian soldiers. Kotcheff said, "We assiduously avoided anything in our story similar to Grits. Our research amazingly showed there were some 30 groups training for similar missions in real life." And this is my problem again, is that they needed to go as secret as possible, and you start pumping out fucking movies about them, making it harder on them. And that's always been a frustration of mine with these films. But anyway, so Kotcheff said Milius did write 2 or 3 scenes, as well as making a number of very creative suggestions, which means he doctored the script. Among the scenes Milius wrote included one where Hackman gives a speech to the other soldiers about Vietnam being like a company that has gone bankrupt. It was a wonderful speech, said Kotcheff, adding Milius did write under pressure, but mainly he functioned as the producer of the film. Milius said that he wanted James Arness to play the lead role, not Hackman. But I think they made the right decision. I love James Arness, but he was really long in the tooth by the time they made this film. Filming started June 6th of 83. The Laotian POW camp that forms the climax of the film was built on a private ranch in Lumhai Valley on the island of Kauai in Hawaii. It was filmed in early August of 83. The opening scene depicting the Vietnam War was filmed a short distance away in a rice paddy, 2 miles, 3.2 clicks from central Hanalei, Hawaii, and 200 yards, 183 meters, from the Kuhio Highway. Additionally, parts of the film were shot in Salt Lake City, Utah, Sun Valley, California, and Castaic, California, which served as the training camp. The film was shot for slightly less than $11 million, and the helicopters that were used in the film, and this is neat, were purchased as opposed to being leased or rented, and were repainted since the United States Department of Defense was unwilling to rent out production military spec Bell UH-1 Iroquois and the Bell 206B Jet Ranger helicopters due to the apparent anti-government nature of the film, which it is. It's not anti-military, it's anti-government, because it makes the government out to be the bad guys in this.
Yes, the government are the one that they put barriers, and the only help that he gets is from military personnel.
Yep. And it's the U.S. government that stops them and takes the equipment from them. They send in a CIA operative to work with the Laotians to take their gear away from them, which they should have planned for as a backup. They should have had a backup contingency if that happened. In fact, I probably would have had 2 shipments, one that was well-known and the other one slow, going a different route. And so that they were guaranteed to have their gear. But they still found a way in the story, which I thought was good, where they all make the personal sacrifice to pay for the gear, because they're there to finish the job. But that's the first obstacle that he faces. Isn't so much the government in this, is getting the men together to go back to Vietnam, into Laos, to get these POWs, these MIA POWs. Yeah, shot in England, in Wales, because a lot of people don't know this, that Kubrick has a phobia, and he did fly early on. He was terrified of travel. So other people travel for him to do location shoots, second unit stuff. He only shot in England. So he had palm trees flown in, tried to have soil brought in, but it still didn't look right. You can see it. Everything looks grayish brown, and it should be bright red.
And the actors were miserable because it was so cold, and they were in tank tops and shit.
It was beyond not liking. He was phobic about flying and travel. He had developed it while he was there in England.
About the color of the soil, nowadays somebody would say, "We'll fix it in post."
Yeah,
And you
right.
can now. Now, it is true that John Milius hired his own composer without consent from studio chief Jeffrey Katzenberg. And Katzenberg overruled him. And don't know who that composer is, but the guy who was brought in was, what's his name? James Horner. So you do hear a hint of Horner in this because he brings his own standard.
Yes, you do. Again, you get some compasses from, but compasses, no, you get some reminiscent from the Wrath of Khan.
Now I'm going to point
And
out,
again, go.
I'm friends with Rep Brown. He's a really nice guy. I've tried to get him to come on the show, but he won't respond. He'll respond to anything else. He
That
just
sucks.
he makes a living going to conventions and stuff. He makes a good living, so he's in it for the money, and I get it. Not going to hold that against him, not at all. Now, I do like all these scenes where he's trying to point stuff out to Rep Brown's character. See that? See those 3 straight lines? And he goes, "That's the 111, man. The 111. That's my son. My son did that." But come to find out, his son died early. When you get to the end of the film, all that he went through only to find out that his son had saved that guy and ended up getting sick and dying.
Yeah, but apparently, or at least what I felt about it is
There's
that
the
he was
111.
died. He has died recently.
I didn't get that.
No, the guy doesn't say that. He just tells him that he got sick and died. He doesn't say when, and it's not important.
Yes, yes. But he had proof of life before they begin the training.
Oh, that was bullshit. The signatures?
That could also
I don't
be-
believe that that's true.
That could also be wishful thinking of a dad.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always assumed when you found out that he's dead, when he couldn't find him, he'd been dead. And that it was all for him for not, but at the same time, look what he did. You know, it's like he can't regret what he did. You know, none of them can regret it. They saved some lives.
Yeah, they
His
concluded their
sons.
unfinished business.
And that's
They
what the
had to
story's
leave them behind.
really about.
Yeah.
That's really what this is about is, oh, by the way, there's the mom from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah. Which she too is a raving leftist.
Oh, let me tell you something. I'm never forgetting 1979, John, ever. That regime has had it coming for a long time for what they did. And yeah, God, Carter's fuck up. And eventually, when Reagan was coming into office, they agreed to release because they knew that Reagan wouldn't fuck around with them. Yeah, and Fred Ward's character wouldn't even see him. He's hiding behind his artwork. But then finally he comes out, and then the minute he sees him, he's all in.
And his wife hates him for that.
I have not talked to Mephisto in 2 days. But I have absolute faith that he's okay. But we're always worried about him because he's right there, Tel Aviv, man. Fucking spraying crops. He builds a Quonset hut in a Hilo landing strip. Oh yeah, this is great.
Dude, I'd imagine if there's a menial job that would be awesome, would be anything around flying. I mean, it may be routine. You may be Dustin Crow, but man, you're flying. And
Yep.
flying is nice.
No, thank you. I would not do a job like that.
Oh, I love flying. I
I'd be-
even love turbulence. I love turbulence
What's wrong with you, dude?
because when turbulence is the only thing that gives you an idea of the speed with that you're flying.
Yeah, I don't need a reminder of that.
I do.
Now, Tim Thomerson, who made a great career working with Charles Band, Doll Man, all of that shit. He's a Vietnam era veteran. I don't think he deployed. He and Brian James served together, and Brian James, from Blade Runner and as well as other films, where they actually were in a couple of movies together. Brian James and Tim Thomerson. They were in a little movie called, oh man, well, it's not Cyborg. It's the other one that was like that about an android that came by Charles Band's company and all that. And they played two guys hunting the main characters in the story, Brian James and Tim Thomerson. Now here's another guy. He was educated down in New Orleans, made a great career as an actor. I don't know if he ever served. I don't see any record of him ever having served. But like I said, quite a few of the guys in the film are veterans, including Robert Stack, who served in World War II in the U.S. Navy. Oh, the actor, that guy's name is Harold Sylvester. And he was one of the main friends on Married with Children. And he was in the group Man.
Well, was No Man is the name of the group. Males against what? I can't remember the last word.
I don't know any of this shit. Sorry,
Oh.
not helpful.
Yeah. It's a fun show. It's a TV show. It's very fun, so you won't like it.
No, I said the name
Shut
of the show.
up.
Married with Children. And he mentioned it. Yeah, Harold Sylvester. But I could not find any record if he served. Reb Brown, I don't see any record of him ever having served. Randall Tex Cobb, who's just fantastic in this film, never served. But he's so fucking good in this role, I don't care. He's the whacked out fucking Vietnam vet in this movie.
It's called acting. You don't have to have served to play a soldier.
I don't really think he's all that good an actor, but he's great in this movie. And Patrick Swayze, he's in this too.
Yeah, that was a surprise when he shows up.
This is an early film for him. Oh yeah, I loved Married with Children early on. It kind of got long in the tooth as time went by. I felt like they should have ended the show. But I did love the first, I'd say 4 seasons of that show.
Yeah. I like the show more when he, in fact, liked his wife. When they
that's just
change...
it. They changed the dynamic. And I didn't like that. To where everybody like just utterly disrespected each other. Because early on, as antagonistic as they were, when the chips were down, they all got together. They came together as a team. They were a family.
Even got into fights with another families together.
Yep, I know. So here we go. Randall Tex Cobb is now he came up through the fighting circuit, and absolutely was a good martial artist. And he look, the guy did pretty well. Mephisto just messaged me, so Mephisto's fine.
Oh, thank God.
Good to know.
Oh no, Stace, the Gerry's not Al Bundy.
Oh, that's that show. Yeah, no, I didn't like that.
I knew it.
Al Bundy is not funny.
He was at first, but as we said, they changed his character and his wife character, and they ruined the show for me at least.
Yeah, I've seen an episode or two when my brothers were watching it when we were home alone. But yeah, no, nah, waste of time.
Oh, you bet, John. I just let him know you were worried about him. I told him you were whining about it, minging about it. Well, not on Married with Children. There I'm wrong, but he was in an episode of the third season. He also had another series that didn't last. He played Popeye Doyle in a TV version of The French Connection.
Oh yes, a TV version that I cannot find, and believe me, I have searched.
I've looked too. I can't find it. He was also on Dragnet, the reboot of Dragnet in the 2000s, which I thought it was good. They got 2 seasons. I had a couple of friends that were on the show, including Jeremy Roberts, a good buddy of mine. He played the killer in his 2-part episode. I love this when they all see each other, and this is a funny thing. They don't try to get in touch with each other, but the minute they see each other,
they're back.
and there's the CIA and or FBI or NSA spying on them. Doesn't matter. They all do the same shit. But I liked Married with Children. I thought Al was pretty funny.
Not my kind of humor.
I think one of my favorite gags in there was, it's the humor that you and I throw at each other. So I don't know why you would say that. And when she goes, I just think, Al, if somebody came in here and killed me, you wouldn't even know. And he puts his hand down his pants. He goes, oh, I'd know.
That's one of the things that I hate, that he keeps doing that. It's just disgusting.
There's a photo of me doing it. And the only reason I did it was because I can't stand my arms flopping when I'm asleep. And if I'm in bed, I will apparently unconsciously tuck my fingertips in the band of my underwear or pajama bottoms, so it'll keep my hands from flopping around.
I tucked them under the pillow.
Yeah, he was a lot like a lot of those guys. I saw a little of my dad in him. And the acidic relationship my dad had with my mom. By the way, I love this scene because now they begin eating dishes from the region that they're going to, because he doesn't want them stinking like American food and giving their positions away.
That's clever. He did think of that, but he couldn't think of a plan B for the weapons. I
know. It still bugs me about that. That's something I think they should have addressed in the writing, because that's something I would have considered, the potential, like having the federal government trying to stop us.
Yeah, give us a reason why they didn't or couldn't do that. Make it make sense.
Now, I'm going to tell you the best character he ever played, Randall Tex Cobb, in my experience, is in Raising Arizona. And that fucking movie's whack. He, trying to get the bounty on that baby. It's like he doesn't even care if the baby's alive. He's like walking human napalm. Randall Tex Cobb. That's what he played. That's the kind of characters he played. And this one, it felt like he stretched a little bit by playing a whacked out Vietnam vet. And he's whacked out, but the fact is he's still there.
And he makes the ultimate sacrifice in the end.
I think he's not whacked out. He just plays that part to keep his mind elsewhere. Not to fall down the rabbit hole.
Well, politicians sit on their asses. That's right. And like the producer said, at the time that they were building this film, putting it together, there were at least 30 groups out there planning to do something like this. And we do know that one guy actually got in there and got into combat with the Laos military. So,
how did that go?
But sadly, nothing. I've never seen a single report of anybody being found. But there have been research, because now we can freely move around in Vietnam. And they did an investigation, and they found where there are stories of these guys blending into the Vietnam culture. It's a hard life over there. So finding out that these guys probably died isn't unreasonable. I like the chopping scene here.
They have way too much fun with that training.
Well, he gets all serious and shit. You know, he gets kind of angry because Cobb fucking takes his tree, his telephone pole down, and then comes over and starts taking his down. Why'd you do that? Because you never quit.
He gets that thrown back at him later.
I love when sailors shoot out the hostage silhouette and say, "Congratulations, you shot a hostage." He wants a collaborator.
Oh yeah, that was great.
I love this when they go too far apart and Randall takes Cobb and goes, "Come together, guys, come together."
Yeah, he goes into split up there.
But he's a real martial artist. He throws a few kicks showing his skills at the time. He throws an axe kick where you bring your leg up and then come down on the opponent. Dude, I mean, he's not really fancy. He doesn't look pretty when he delivers the kicks, but they're functional.
I didn't expect that that speed of his kicks from part of Sailor. It took me out for surprise, because you see he's a stocky guy. You may even say that he's a little fat, but man, he can move fast.
Yeah, I mean, especially next to Patrick Swayze when they have their fight scene, and Swayze with his ballerina kicks. I mean, he's good at martial arts, but you see the dancer always. And that makes Sailor even more look like a bear next to him, but he's fast. And they did their own stunts, by the way. That's them fighting, no stuntman.
Yep, he put up the fight of his life. And he went out on top. He had a hit series that would never come back.
Ah, man, the story of
Well, you still see the flags, the POWMIA flags. But yeah, the movement was gone, because I love his movement here, because his physical movement is exactly the same as he moved in Remo Williams, the way he holds the knife and everything. And he did learn combat training. Yeah, he talks about how to go in like right here, stick it into the base of the skull and jiggle it around.
Scramble the brain. Pretty nasty.
I've said, so many reports I've ever heard from guys that had to go into knife combat vomit the first time they kill a human.
I mean, it's
It's
against your
hard.
nature
It's hard to do.
that.
Yeah. I love this scene right here where he's describing each one of the booby traps he sets up,
Yeah.
counts them out by numbers, and he does it in the
because
movie too, at the end there when he's like, look at him, number 5, come on, let's get to 7, do 7.
he's breaking his
Yes!
own record. Because 6 has always been the most he managed. And now he gets
Blaster
to
was
7.
my favorite character.
Oh, and the
And
way
I,
he
you
goes
know,
out, man.
and the first time I watched this was with Anima. I looked and I saw that satchel charge. I'm like, he's fucking dead. Because he's going to manually throw that fucking thing, and that entire bridge is rigged to explode.
And he
It's
runs
like,
in screaming, so he knows. That's the only way.
and it deals with being haunted by combat. Without naming it, they're talking about PTSD, post-combat trauma.
Yeah.
You have the
Wilkes
one dude who is claustrophobic and cannot even stay in bed the whole night. He walks out with his blanket all the time to sit outside.
In fact, I've always said that they should name PTSD for combat post-combat trauma. So it's more specifically identified, because I'll tell people I have PTSD, and because I was in the military, they assume it. I'm like, no, mine's from other shit. Yeah, here it is. He starts splitting as they go around the camera. And this is the stuff that was shot between Utah and California. Sneaky little shit. And throughout the training, you see that there's a relationship, although not the best at first, between Sailor and the Swayze character.
Scott.
I think it's when they fight, Scott, yeah. I think it's when they fight that they let off the steam and then they can be friends or something. Weird bonding that males do.
Yep.
Yeah, that is one of my because I am one of the biggest critics of that movie for its military accuracy or lack thereof. That's not how blanks work. I love every time he kills somebody, he puts a little sign on him. It's great.
Ex-rookie.
Ex-rookie is my favorite.
Oh yeah. But one says history, I think. And one says
And
bye-bye.
here Gene Hackman's character thinks that, he's yelling at the guys, and he gets taken out too, right there. Fred Ward's under that water waiting for him. But I do like that film, Southern Comfort. I do. It's a favorite of mine. It's got Brian James in it, for God's sake. He plays one of the Cajuns. And he always goes off in the distance, starts doing his little kung fu dance.
That's what you see in the end.
Yeah, like how the guy says. I think that guy's elevator doesn't go up to all of it to the top.
Yeah.
I really like the camp life that you get to see. How they live together and do their soldier shit. And
This
just
is what they were like in Vietnam. Well, they're back to who they were. And he feels alienated because he didn't go. But then all the shit they give him, finally, I think he's a lieutenant colonel, right? Is that his rank? I always forget what his rank is.
I think it was a yes, lieutenant colonel.
Who, Hackman?
Which is like, I think that's the next rank is general. So he was like one step away from being a general. But generals are political figures. Lieutenant colonels are borderline, depending on what branch and what group they're in.
Wikipedia lists him as colonel.
Yeah, but the full rank is lieutenant
I
colonel.
think he's a lieutenant colonel.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you, this film did moderately well in the theaters, but not great. I think it could have done better, but it did 3 times. Well,
Yeah.
the $11 million budget, and they made $30 million, which is like basically it's a trade-off. It's like that's like $30 million today for the budget, and 91 million box office, which is really good when you think about it. So
especially for a war movie.
Yeah, you would think this film, you would have heard more about it. And oddly, really, you don't. It only has a ranking of 6.3 on IMDb. And
which I don't really understand, to be honest.
Yeah. Let me look up something real quick, because I forget, because it's not a good score over on
Rotten Tomatoes?
Rotten Tomatoes either. Because and I looked at that score, and yeah, it's barely passing, 61%. It's 60% with the critics and 61% with the audience. And I'm like, it seems to me like it should have been higher for the money that it made. Roger Ebert didn't like it. Basic idea of Uncommon Valor is so interesting that it's all they can do to make a routine formula movie out of it. You know, it's like, yeah, it is a bit formulaic, but it's a character-driven story. And for him not to recognize that, if I thought about it at the time, if I'd ever seen the movie back then when I was having lunch with him, I probably would have brought that up with him. Because I would criticize him over some of his criticisms.
What?
I don't understand that.
I do.
Care to enlighten me?
The 300-pound was gay?
Yeah, he's gay.
So? I don't see the problem there.
You wouldn't. But some of these, corn belt fucking kids go to those colleges and suddenly they're exposed to things they've never seen before. A 300-pound gay man for your roommate, that might freak out a few small guys. Yeah, I seem to remember the ranks that way. I didn't give 2 shits for officers, so really, you came across it? Fuck you. Yeah, I'm ending stream on
No.
I don't want to look at these. They really frustrate me.
I'm having a blast banning them.
Yeah, but they're still in our chat.
I know, but I will at least give it a couple of weeks and see if we make anything on that platform, if we have any views there. If it's not picking up, then just drop it. But give it a couple of weeks. And let Martine have fun hunting them.
Yeah. Oh, we don't have the video here anymore. It's a pity.
Which one?
Now, this is another really cool thing is they built a full-size mock-up of the prison camp.
To practice, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is clever because that way it's muscle memory and you can really do it in your sleep.
Yeah, because a lot of people think that all we ever do is sandbox and then go do it. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Like the raid on the Bin Laden compound. Yeah, there was a sandbox, and a sandbox is a miniature where you show everything, but then you go out on the mock-up that they built, which I showed that in my book. I showed the full-size mock-up that they absolutely did train physically on a full-scale mock-up of the compound. And so doing that shows the typical way of doing a major mission like this, you build a mock-up of where you're going. You get all the visual intel you can so that it becomes muscle memory. When you go in, you automatically know where to turn right. You automatically know when to climb stairs. You know where everything is already because you've been training it for weeks.
And there's another good reason why they have to do this. They don't have night vision gear. So they need to be able to do everything blind.
And of course, they do their mission during the day, which was a big shocker.
6 a.m., something like that. Which I don't call day, but I guess it is.
It was daylight. Because all the training, I just assumed they were going to go for a night mission, and then they end up going during the day.
Well, they say that at one point it was planned for 3 a.m. and then they switch it to 6 because they don't have night vision gear.
Oh, they lost their night vision gear. Which they trained without it anyway, which is weird.
Yeah, we never saw them use any.
Taking out the towers.
It's funny to me that none of the helicopters you see are actually military helicopters.
The thing that kills me with, because I knew Roger Ebert and I liked him, but when they criticize military movies, I just sort of look at me like, what the fuck is your perspective on this? You're just looking at it as another movie. You're not looking at it from a military perspective. So you're going to miss all the cool shit. And that's why, I don't know. I have a problem with people, non-military people, overly criticizing military stuff that they don't know about. I'm sort of like, yeah, I lived in one of those.
I did too. It was fun. That half year was the best in my whole high school career because I didn't have to live at home, save for the weekends.
Peepratch misery. Okay.
Babylon B just put out a picture of Iran getting hammered, and Toby Keith in the sky with his fist pump in the air. It says, report, Toby Keith smiling down from heaven. Babylon B. That's fucking ridiculous. Redonkulous. Probably moved back to Pea Patch, Missouri. Because that's what we jokingly call this state, is misery.
That bad.
People go, where do you? People ask where I live, and I'm like, I live in the state of misery. It's just a fun little thing. It's a nice place. Everybody likes to dunk or shit on their fucking state where they live.
Oh, you're weird.
You're just noticing?
Oh, I know Gerry is weird. I mean, people are weird for doing that.
So at 6:47 a.m. today, looks like some more hits on Fort Howe Nuclear Facility.
We shouldn't do that on a show, Gerry.
Military. So I
Yeah,
give
but
everything I have, everything.
YouTube hates us enough as is. We don't need to provoke that more.
So That's the scene where it's set up for the ending. That's the setup right there between those two. The race to find out if both their sons are alive or only one of them. I'd love to see Chris Christopherson in it, because he is a former Ranger. You know, if I could go back to that clip, I want to point
I'll
out
be back.
how clenched that guy's ass cheeks were.
Who's? Oh, the guy that's hanging there in the back?
Yeah,
Or what
just
do you
watch.
mean?
Just watch. Just watch. I'll pause. When they get hassled by the CIA and Laotian police. Laotian, I'm sorry. There it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Man, his ass is clenched. I mean, it's like lighting accentuates the fact that his ass is clenched.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, some people don't like Chris Christopherson. I like him. I respect him. I like some of his music too.
I don't know if I've even heard any of it. I mean, I know the name, but I don't associate any music with it.
I think my one beef with him was working with Jane Fonda.
Ah, that
That's my
bitch,
one
yeah.
beef with him. As a veteran, I was shocked that he would agree to work with her. Yeah, and I tell people all the time, and you know, fucking Wings Hauser in his fucking mouth talking about Milius. Milius tried to serve. He volunteered. But the guy was 4F. He had too many fucking maladies Vietnam was fucking grabbing people left and right. My brother Stephen was flat-footed. Marines took him. And so whatever the fuck was wrong with John Milius prevented him from serving. And it broke his heart because he always wanted to serve his country. And I'm weirded out by people who don't want to serve their countries. That's like weird to me. Like, how do you not want to serve your country? Chuck Taylor, yeah. I would not want to drive one of those trucks, man. If you see the way it takes turns, man, those things turn over so fucking easy. Also, water buffaloes. They're scary as shit.
But their horns look all wrong.
That guy's just walking down the street with a leash on one, you know. It's like, fuck, man.
But their horns go back. How is that helpful in combat? Wouldn't it be way better if they pointed forwards? I don't understand that anatomy.
Well, the thing
is go Google that and look up how they fight, and then maybe you'll change your mind.
The thing is, in nature, most animals of the same species do not fight to death. It's a fight of dominance.
Yeah, I know, but they can't even.
But they're like hippos
or anything.
They are like hippos, and they attack humans all the time. Crazy shit. Now, having been in the military, in the U.S. military as combat medic in particular, our job was to make sure we had, safe water. So this is a water buffalo to me. And that's what we called them, water buffaloes. You had the larger ones, and you had this one, the mid-size. This one was for a platoon. This guy fucking slays me because fucking parrot on his shoulder.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That whole scene was so funny.
Well, he's part of that element of Frenchmen who stayed in the Near and Far East.
No, I mean they need to buy new weapons, and he gives them a menu, and they're like, no, we don't want to eat, and then he just flips to that page.
The back of the menu is like, and my question would be, yeah, but are they fresh caught or frozen?
Well, they do talk about them like they're entrees, so that's funny.
Now, there on the bottom right on that one there, let's see if I can get back to it without having to go too far back. Because this really has a terrible. They need to put the 10-second back button thing.
Did slideshows ever have that?
So they need them on this. This is StreamYard just not trying. They're just not trying. So on the bottom right there, that is it. Technically, it is a recoilless rifle, but it fires a projectile. It is an explosive projectile. And it is, I forget the designation, M62, I think, recoilless rifle. And it is basically kind of a bazooka. So, and they're looking at this menu, but then he takes them downstairs. He goes, when they go down and look to see the fucking good weapon, he goes, no, you're in the discount aisle. This way. And there's a fucking Thompson machine gun in there. It's like, fuck yeah. But he picks up the 1911 and shakes it. And if you are a person who grew up around those and have owned the Colt 45 Colt Combat, you know it rattles. But if you're listening to a certain sound, if you sound a certain way when you rattle it, it should sound loose. But if you hear something more distinct, you know something's wrong with the weapon, and that's why he does it.
Oh, okay.
Well, I told you that yesterday.
No, you said it has to rattle.
It has to rattle it. You don't want to hear a chink. If you hear a chink sound in it, something's broken. You want to hear a rattle. It should rattle, and you feel it too. It's in your hand. You feel it when it's doing it. My dad taught me all sorts of things about the 45 growing up. He owned both the Combat, and he owned the Commander, which was the 4.5-inch barrel. And it's not the same. It's built differently, and it doesn't rattle. And I didn't like that. Her character has a neat little character arc. Painful.
She loses everyone. So sad.
But I love when he saves her, and Tim Thomerson saves her. First, he tries to snuggle up with her at night.
Yeah.
And she pulls a knife on him. And he says, just for body heat. Just for body heat.
Yeah, just trying to stay warm, I swear.
So he does, but they end up, it's clear they kind of have feelings for each other, because after he saves her, there's a quick cut. If you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. She blows him a kiss, and he nods at her.
And she absolutely pulls her weight as soldier. I mean, she has her limits. Of course, she's tiny. So hand-to-hand combat with a male wouldn't happen, but she has that machine gun, and she's a beast with it.
That scene is so crazy when they go to the rubber farm. I shit you not. See, Anima's not seen this movie yet, and I've been debating whether to show her the theatrical cut or to show her the Redux cut that Francis Coppola made, because I got to admit, I do like it. But where you meet a French family out in the middle of this fucking war, still living on their plantation, it's like they stepped out of a war zone into a French fantasy film. It's so bizarre. PCM should review and ran movie doc as a discussion backdrop. I just like to hear Gerry, but I bet he could get great military guests if he wanted. YouTube won't mind if Anima lays off the F-bombs.
I can't help it. You know that, Ostains. I can't turn it off.
And the first thing I noticed with all these skeletons, they're sun bleached.
Yep. They've been there a while.
And what he explains is these bodies died where they were standing because they dropped the fog of chemical warfare on them. And he mentions where the Germans first did it in France, the Vietnamese guy or Laotian guy. And he says that, and he goes, it's a French village where they dropped the first mustard gas on the French and killed them where they stood. Yeah, the rubber plantation scene is nuts, Gambit. The Ocean Border Patrol. Get the recoilless rifle, basically a bazooka. I've seen both copies, Gambit, and I got to say I prefer the Redux copy.
I only have seen the theatrical. I didn't know there was a Redux.
Yeah, in fact, if you go to the website we go to, I think that's the only version there, but I might be wrong. I'm sorry, my back's killing me today.
Welcome to the club. I don't know. I got up with my back is stiff.
There he goes. He fires it, and that's what it looks like. I just realized I haven't taken anything this morning. I can't take anything because I didn't get anything to drink. Bye, Emmanuel. Be safe.
Bye.
Bye, Manuel. Give our regards to Regis, please.
Broadway. Oh, Regis, yeah. I thought Broadway. I guessed wrong. Sorry. You too.
What's that about? What Gambit just said?
He may be good in Apocalypse Now.
Oh, yeah, probably.
That was her character was called Life On. I suppose her sister was Live Voting.
Now, I do want to point out that Patrick Swayze's character, that's where he got his cherry popped, was in that last scene.
Yep. And it shook him.
Yeah. Yes. Clint Eastwood so eloquently said in Unforgiven, it's a hell of a thing to kill a man. You take away all he's got and all he'll ever have.
Uh-oh.
What?
Thunderstorm just started.
Oh.
And I don't know if you can hear the rain, but it sounded like somebody turned on a gigantic shower outside. It started that suddenly.
Oh, well, Martin went through that the other day because it started raining so loud there for him. Remember
but
when
it
you
started
brought
so
that up, Marty?
suddenly.
Oh yeah.
That was what spooked me a little bit.
I'm even expecting hail. We haven't had hail in
Hell no.
like 8 months or something. Yeah,
Oh,
you wouldn't imagine that in the yellow filtered Mexico we have hail regularly.
Yellow filter Mexico.
Yeah, haven't you seen all the movies when they're in Mexico in yellow filter?
I know.
No, Mexico doesn't look like that.
The Balkans isn't gray, so same thing. Or Russia always gets the gray filter.
All right, so Apocalypse Now Final Cut is a version of Francis Ford Coppola's iconic Vietnam War film, which was released in 2019 as a restored and re-edited version of the original 1979 film. This cut is 182 minutes long, which is longer than the original theatrical release, but shorter than the Redux, which is 3 hours and 3 minutes long. The final cut is considered by some to be the best of all the versions, as it combines elements from both the original and the extended.
So
the final cut includes additional scenes that were not present in the original release, such as the French plantation sequence, which some viewers feel disrupts the film's pacing and tone. However, others argue that these additions enhance the film's themes and provide more of a complete narrative. The final cut also features enhanced audio and visual quality with Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision, as well as Meyer's Central Sound for optimal audio and picture quality. In terms of critical reception, the final cut has received mixed reviews. Some critics and viewers consider it an imperfect masterpiece, praising its ambitious vision and cinematic qualities, while noting issues with pacing in certain scenes. Others believe that the original theatrical release is the best version, as it better provides it's about the pacing and cohesive narrative. Well, and that's just it, because Redux itself meanders, whereas the original film doesn't.
But what movie on earth needs to be 3 hours long? That's just insane.
And by the way, the reason I looked up where they shot this film is because of the scene where Fred Ward's under that water. And I'm like, there are a lot of places in this world I would not fucking do that.
Why?
Nature.
It's a river. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baby, sure. Okay.
It's a jungle river. You don't know what shit is living.
You have not been out there in the world and seen some of the shit that's in it.
I have. It's the still standing water.
There are some places where there's this fucking thin fish that'll swim up your fucking urethra.
Yeah.
What?
And they have spines. And
it's spines, and it's surgery to get it out.
Okay, that's one I haven't heard of yet. Thanks for traumatizing
Not to
me.
mention, there are venomous animals around the world that, I told guys in the Army when we did a bivouac down in Louisiana, I said, I'm going to remind you, don't think you're safe in water from snakes.
No.
Snakes are more likely to bite you underwater.
Yes.
Than on land. So don't fuck around. And boom, there you go. That's the one. You can fucking go into water, get all kinds of parasites, including tapeworms in water. Just awful parasites in water. I had a friend, she was a nurse. She went over to Thailand, and she brought a pet back with her. She didn't know it, though. It took her a few weeks, and she found out she had a tapeworm.
Damn. I guess we just have super safe lakes and rivers here.
Yeah, and some of those families didn't want to fucking leave. That was home to them. France wasn't home to them anymore. There, that shot right there. I swear to God, man. That looks like the bush, man. When he gets attacked by that fucking python, dude, that ball python. It's like,
yeah.
what people don't know, they don't have fangs. What they have are rows of teeth that are angled like this from the front to the back. They're barbed backward. That way, when they latch on, the thing ain't getting away.
And the
And
upper
so-
jaw has 4 columns of teeth, not
Yep.
2.
I learned very
Oh,
quickly
God.
because I got bit by Jim Woodward's Burmese python, and you just hold on to him, don't let him wiggle. You go over, you turn on the fucking cold water, wait for a second, and then you stick their head underneath that fucking water, and they let go. That's how I got that fucking python off my hand. But I got bit in the hand just like he did, and if I didn't know that, I would have ripped it off my hand and just tore the fucking shit out of my hand. Which is what he does.
Yeah.
He cuts its body off and then rips it off. There it is, the 1911. Yeah, daytime mission, man. If you want to know why you do nighttime missions and not daytime missions, the best movie to watch is Black Hawk Down.
Mm.
We're going to go in during the day? You're kidding, right? Yeah, they said we're doing a daytime mission. Only time. During the day. You think it's a great idea to go in the mix of all those fucking skinnies and fucking do that during the day. Okay. This ain't going to go bad. And of course it fucking went bad. I do love Red Brown's character in this film. He's the California dude.
I mean, they're all likable.
Snakes don't stop because you cut their body off. They will continue biting because their brain's still working.
What? That's scary.
Oh, yeah.
Good thing I hate snakes.
I do like the fact that these guys lost weight for these parts.
Oh, yeah, they're so skinny. The last one, when he gets him out of the pit, oh my God, he's so skinny.
Whoa. Really?
What?
The bass.
Damn!
What? That is cool.
It's a badass bass. Badass
Yes,
bass.
it is.
Oh God, here we go.
You really feel his character when he's crushed when he realizes his son's dead. It's so tough to watch.
And it's like he knew it already, but hearing it is breaking him.
So I do like that they do this at nighttime. They start putting all the booby traps out and doing all this shit.
Booby.
Oh my God, how old are we? 5? You say booby.
Anima, I think I heard Thunder Crash
Yes.
on your audio. Damn.
Yes, it is really something out there right now. And the cat is asleep. And that's weird because she's usually Rocket Kitty during a thunderstorm.
This is another thing I wanted to bring up because one of the coolest parts of this film was once the movie was done, that Paramount marketing had this full idea planned out of how they're going to promote this film. And then the marketing department saw the movie, the first cut of the film. And so they originally prepared the advertising campaign that was factual and rather somber and centered on the plight of the prisoners of war, quote unquote. However, after the marketing department saw the film, they scrambled to redo the campaign. So the poster showed a moment invented for the campaign with a soldier, McGregor's son, being carried by another soldier sailor with the copy line. And this is it right here. I'll show it to you guys right now. Right there. Boom. Come on, we're going home. That's how they promoted it. Not Gene Hackman's face. He's down below and small. It's that guy carrying the other guy. And they understood this movie was for dudes. This movie was for guys. This movie was for men. And they promoted it that way. We're looking to appeal, quote unquote, here. Quote, we were looking to appeal to males on an emotional level, end quote. That was Paramount's head of marketing, Gordon Weaver. He continued saying, quote, we were offering them an attainable fantasy. We'd all like to think that we can be heroes, that we would leave our jobs and families to do something really terrific for our friends, end quote. You know, that was a smart move. And I think really in many ways, that marketing plan that got them their fucking 3 times budget box office. But this is a film that sort of disappeared with time. It's one of those films, you'll hear people talk about Bat 21. Oh yeah, Gene Hackman's Vietnam War film. They'll talk about so many of his films, but so many people forget that this is a fucking movie. And it was a hit.
That's sad. That should not be forgotten.
Yeah, they remember Braddock's, Chuck Norris's Missing in Action films. They remember Rambo doing this shit in Rambo First Blood. But they completely forgot that this was the first movie to really show people going into rescue, POW MIAs. I love this scene where he's firing a Sim-1 because the sighting in scene is really good. And I guarantee you, Wings Hauser did not fucking write that. That was written by somebody that knows weapons. That's John Milius.
Probably one of the many things he had to doctor about this.
He took a half-assed story and turned it into a better story.
A half-assed story that took 1.5 years to make.
Yeah, 18 fucking months to write that script. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Now, I understand it if you wrote the initial script and wanted to go back and refix it, do some changes, make some updates. I get it. Revisions occur. But to get the first draft of the script and it takes you 18 months, that's fucking stupid. I think the fastest script I ever turned out was over a weekend. I wrote 90 pages over a weekend and turned it into Dale Dye for him to write his script. Because my draft was the first draft of City of Fire. And it's the same script we're using for the graphic novel, but that all fell through. And people who act like graphic novels don't fall through, they're just like a fucking movie. Graphic novels fall through all the time. Things happen. Not always good. You get all these complex personalities trying to work together, and things fucking fall apart. No, this movie is not anti-American. It is anti-government.
And yeah, we
And
pointed that out at the
pro-soldier.
beginning.
Pro-soldier. It's very pro-America. It's anti-government. Yeah, I would say anybody who's got a problem with this film thinking it's anti-American, I'd love to talk to him, explain to him why it's not. Because it shows these guys, they're Americans being heroic, sacrificing for not for their country anymore, for their fucking friend that got left behind.
Not just Americans sacrificing.
Well, you
The
see
dude and his two daughters.
Laotians, yeah.
And he tells them, I don't have
Everything.
any more sons because they got killed, but my daughters are just as worthy. And they don't hesitate. They go in with the men. So
Yeah, I just brought that up.
Yes, we did about 21 Gambit. Dude, you were there, I think.
what we don't, I don't know.
Yeah, we just did it. Yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman, Danny Glover.
Oh, we need to
Listen,
do
Gambit.
Flight of an Intruder.
I'm not a fan of the missing in action films. I'm not a fan of Rambo First Blood Part 2. Don't like that film. I don't like the third film.
And that we coincide.
I am not a fan of the oiled skin Rambo. I like the first movie,
Yeah.
And the fourth.
and then I like the 2009 film. Yes, the fourth film. And the fifth film. I like that one too. Not as much, but I still liked it because he was giving his life to someone he cared about.
I'm still saying we saw Rambo with the knife. We have seen with the M60. We have seen him with
50.
RPGs, with everything. But he's the most frightening with a fucking hammer.
Oh yeah. Also with that fucking 50 cal, the way he was just the
No,
brutality
dude,
of
the
that fucking
hammer.
movie.
When you see him with that hammer, oh my god, this is a slasher film.
There you go, John. You nailed it. Yeah, I think just so I can bring it up again, because Chris Christopherson. My dad liked Chris Christopherson until he made that movie with Jane Fonda, and he felt, and I kind of share the sentiment a little bit that he betrayed all the Vietnam vets by doing that movie with her. And there was also, he had a lot of problems with him being in a movie with Barbara Streisand as well. My dad would watch with Barbara Streisand, love her voice, but he hated her guts. As a kid,
Why is
man,
that?
I was so conflicted as a kid because I loved, her movies, and they're like, "Oh man, what a voice on her! What a piece of shit!" And I'm like, "Why? Why can't I just love what she's doing?" I couldn't understand as a kid.
It's called separating the art from the artist.
And I do that a lot, but there's some I just, they go too far.
Yes, you just can't.
And
Yeah,
I can't. Jane Fonda is one of them. Jane Fonda, I mean, she pissed her fucking dad off. And he's a big lefty. Henry Fonda. He did not approve what she did. And again, with First Blood Part 2, who were the bad guys? Same. They did the same thing. They weren't there to find and rescue anybody. They were there to try and then fail. The intention was to fail. This fucking boat, man, there are so many ways they could have fucking destroyed this fucking boat. And I got so angry at this fucking little John boat with a fucking 50 on it. And a guy firing at single automatic, he's like, boom, boom. He's not firing it full automatic at these guys, which is crazy. Why a belt-fed weapon with a 50 caliber, you'll do some fucking damage on full automatic. We'll take the garden with us. That fucking line right there. Hey, it's a can at the garden. We'll take the garden with us, man.
Yeah, I don't know what they did with that dude, but they broke him completely.
It became prescient of an infamous cover story of Caucasians who attacked 3 Vietnam refugees in Boston. I'm not sure if I even remember that. I have to look that up, man. The thing that always impressed me is the guy famous, the Arvin commander, who they photographed and filmed putting a bullet in that fucking Viet Cong's head. Everybody hated that imagery, but that's because, you know, people don't understand warfare, and the kind of warfare they were dealing with there was so fucking invasive that these people were infiltrating society and trying to destroy it. What does this sound like? It sounds so familiar when I say that. I don't know. Maybe you guys can come to a conclusion what that sounds like with
No idea.
communists infiltrating society in order to tear it apart. It's ringing a bell. I just can't recall what it is. You guys help me out. But anyway, this scene is so fucking good. It's like there's something, one of the most horrifying things you'll ever have in this life is not going through something, but the moment when you think you're going to get out of it. The sheer terror that goes through your body and trying to maintain when you are so close to getting out and it's shit's happening around you, and you know in your head, this is usually when you buy the farm.
When you what?
So buy the farm.
What does that mean? Oh.
It's an Americanism.
I would like to know the roots of it.
Yeah. I've never heard that before.
No, I have heard it, and believe me, I was, what?
It's something I grew up with in Virginia and in the Midwest. Not so much in Arizona. And buying the farm, I'm going to assume means this. So this is where I'm going to get planted. But this is the end. This is where he finds him and not his son. And it's the most heartbreaking moment of the film.
And I think this is when he knows that his son is dead, because if he was alive, he would have been there. But he's not, so. But still hearing it from the guy and hearing that his son is alive.
Hey, Bush McFadden, what's up, motherfucker?
Who do you call a lady, dude?
I love that picture. The Busherin.
And I've always wondered this. This is where I think it comes from, is pilots would crash so often on farms. They would crash right into the rows. And it got nicknamed, bought the farm, buy the farm. Symbolizing the final plot of land a soldier would own, and that was it. So there you go. And it says here that it became very popular in the 50s. It has been used in other contexts, such as in 55 Los Angeles Times, where it used to mean it had a fatal crash. So it's got mixed. I mean, it's just an idiom, and it can be connected to all those different things, soldiers to pilots. And this is the scene. He looks down at him, dying, and he grabs that grenade that's been around his neck. And I often wonder if this was a John Milius thing, because this feels John Milius to me. To have that grenade, set it up early in the film. Like, why is it there? What the fuck's it for? And this is what it's for. This moment. Yep. Pulls that pin and jumps down on top of those guys. They all go up. Now, grenade explosions are done very unrealistically in this film. Grenade explosions, often you can't even see the flame in it from the initial blast, because you just see immediately it kicks up debris, which is why we were taught in the military to lay flat when a grenade hits near. Because what ends up happening, this is physics at work. When the grenade goes off, it doesn't blow outward, straight outward, because part of the explosion is going into the ground. And that driving force makes everything blow upward. So there is a safe area low to the ground with a grenade. Doesn't mean you won't get hit, but you're less likely to get hit.
Yeah, but by a frag. In this case, if I remember correctly, there were barrels there, probably fuel.
That's so what it is. He made that in fact,
logic.
They hide the bag behind the cans. That's what they're really there for. But they're also there to have the big fucking fireball explosion that his grenade causes. So I love this scene, and that's an old pineapple grenade, old school. I'm gonna have to look this shit up, dude. I don't remember that at all. 1985. I was married with a child. I was so happy that some of the characters survived. Like, I thought they were all gonna fucking get smoked.
Oh no, that would have ruined the movie. Some of them had to get out. Especially
Tim Thomerson. Tim Thomerson was the one character you wanted to survive. I mean, that's who I wanted to survive. Because you fucking root for that guy.
Dude,
his character was named Charts. I loved his name, Charts.
Yeah.
Because we have Tim here, so.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
If this was John Milius' shtick of handling the attributes of his protagonist, nobody knows for sure. Well, that's the thing. He did get his fingers in the clay with this movie, and I am certain, I would absolutely bet my life on two things in particular. The two speeches given in this film absolutely stink of John Milius, and they're good. I love the two speeches. And give you a recap. Have you ever seen Rambo? First Blood Part 2? Bush? It's that, but a little better. With a team instead of one guy. Yeah, Stallone was a bit of an obnoxious twat back in the 80s, man, with some of his characters. Who's Rambo? I just want to put it up
what he's doing.
Look at that avatar.
He arrived late, awesome. So he wants us to go over. He wants the stream to go longer. That's why he's doing that, because he just got here. See what you're doing, Bush.
And this is a powerful moment too, because he doesn't come home with his son, but he came home, and that's all that matters to his wife.
Well, she also sees how happy those families are to get the other dudes back. He did that, so.
and she's happy to have him back. That
Yeah.
smile she gives him. And that's the end.
And she already knew her son was dead, I think. But she also knew that he had to go on this mission.
Loved Wilkes. This is a great character. Fred
There
Ward,
he is.
man. One of my favorite actors. I do want to do a film. I'm not a fan of Alec Baldwin. But Fred Ward. Were you going to say something?
No,
Oh, just making noises. Okay.
that's all Baldwin gets.
They did a movie together that I fucking love that movie. It's directed by George Armitage. It's called Miami Blues. I saw that during basic training. They took us for a movie in the middle of training, the sergeants did. They took us to this shithole of a theater, not the main theater on base. They took us to this little shithole theater made out of tin. It was like corrugated tin. You know, it's just a fucking shitty place. But man, we got popcorn, the soda, and we all got to watch Fred Ward. And I was already a Fred Ward fan. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, man. Love this guy. 'Cause I'd already seen him in Remo Williams. And of course, this Gus Grissom in The Right Stuff, which is another film we still have to do on here. I just love Fred Ward, man. He's one of my favorite actors. Yeah, Robert Stack from the original Untouchables. I'm kind of glad that they recast him as Harrison Ford later because he just doesn't have the draw. Yeah, he's of the Baldwin brothers, he's the only one that can act. But I'm not a big fan of Alec Baldwin. Tex Cobb's just cool, man. I don't think he's an actor, but he's fun to watch on in film. He can only play one thing.
He's great. He's great as Taylor. So I have no problems with him in that role.
No, it's not my hatred of Alec Baldwin as a person. I really don't think much of him as a movie actor. I think he's only done a few good films.
We don't get anything. We love him. He's the superior Baldwin.
He's a superior Baldwin. That's right.
We don't care about the others.
Talk about him. We talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
So there you go. You got a group of top class actors. Some of them still early in their career. Fred Ward was still early in his career.
Patrick Swayze. Hello.
Swayze's first. Good. It's a good flick. I'm glad I finally watched it.
Whoa, no. It's better.
That was weird.
Yeah.
But that you get this, Martin.
We know that, Bruce. We do our homework here, you know?
And this one's for Tim. So, yep, that's it. We'll wrap up here. I'm dry. I haven't had anything to drink this morning. I'm just like, oh. Good film. I think they were smart in kicking Wings Hauser to the curb on this. So let me talk about the box office and the critical response. So the film was a box office hit, one of the top earners of 1983. This was considered a surprise at the time because the film's lack of stars and the fact it had to compete with Scarface and Sudden Impact. Sudden Impact is what I consider to be a subpar Dirty Harry film. It's the one Dirty Harry film I make fun of. Don't you remember that night under the boardwalk? Boardwalk. That was so dumb.
What?
She could not carry it as the villain. She was not good in that film. So Gordon Weaver, Paramount's president of marketing, thought the film was, quote, successful because of the emotional impact of the ending. The emotional ending really makes you feel terrific, end quote. Kotcheff said, quote, if we knew the secret of a film's success, we'd all be very wealthy. But I think it's partly the strong emotional tug of the father-son relationship, end quote. Now, critical response, the reception of the film was mixed, with 60% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on reviews from 10 critics. Whereas the viewer on there, the viewership is higher, and that's with over 5,000 reviews from audience members. So getting a 61, it's not great. That's like getting a D+. You don't fail, but you pass by the skin of your teeth. And it surprises me because I think the film's better than that. But anyway, Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert in This Week at the Movies, the movie review program, both gave the film thumbs down. In the Chicago Sun-Times review of Uncommon Valor, Ebert gave the film a mixed 2 out of 4-star review that described the squandering of first-rate talent like Kotcheff and Hackman in a film that was little more than 2 hours of cliches delivered with lead-footed predictability. And I got to remind you, these are the same pieces of shit who were talking about We Were Soldiers. Oh, how cliche that scene was where the guy like cries for his mama and then the other guy says, tell my wife I loved her. Well, actually, that's biographically accurate. It's what was done. You don't like it? Well, that's too fucking bad. That's what was done. It happened that way. A lot of guys called for their mamas. They returned to childhood as they're dying. And it's fucking horrific. But, you know, you critics are just so savvy. Fuck you, critics. I hate established critics. Anyway, it was one of the series of films about rescuing POWs in Vietnam that were entirely fictional. There you go. And that's it. That's all I got to say on that.
Well, yeah, you gave the numbers earlier. 11 million budget, made over 30.
That's going to be a mistake. Just telling you. That happened. They want an escalation, but here's what they're not understanding. None of the Arab states like them. Look it up. Iran is a bully in the Middle East, and they are not liked. And the only places where you'll find friendliness towards them are places that were overrun by that group from Iran. In Syria is what I'm talking about, or Iraq. So, and I wholly agree with you on that. I only watch certain things. I absolutely police who I listen to for news and information. I don't want something that's just placating me because I'm conservative. I want facts. I want them given to me correctly and honestly, including the stuff that maybe is not so pleasant. Yeah, they're not. And in fact, they're all kind of like going, please do it, America. Oh, they were. And I knew Roger. I didn't know Siskel, but I knew Roger Ebert. Had lunch with him many times. And I annoyed him because I'd poke fun at him all the time. In fact, I told you guys about that time at the Virginia Theater. We're going to go see the 70 millimeter print of 2001: A Space Odyssey during Cyberfest back in '97. And we went to the sub shop across the street. And we got some subs to go. And he's walking up the stairs in front of me as we're going to go up in the balcony to watch. And as he's going up the stairs, those carpeted stairs, he stumbled in front of me. And the first thing I noticed is that he tucked and rolled around that fucking sandwich like a football and let his shoulder take the stair. And then he got back up and and he heard me chuckle behind him. And he shot me a look as I said, "Sandwich safe." Did you see Siskel and Ebert try to tell Johnny Carson that he can't analyze a comedy film because he doesn't understand? Yeah, I saw that. They're fucking idiots. Critics. I went to film school. What is it? Those who can't teach. And it's the same thing with critics. Those who can't make films critique. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I remember that. That was really fucking stupid. All right. So I want to thank everybody for popping in. Is that all that was in the fucking chat the whole show?
Yeah.
Huh?
Wasn't that busy today?
Shorty Classic Comics, Emmanuel, John Ostains, and Boosh McFadden. That's it. Wow. I feel like there are more because there's a lot of comments here. I'm scrolling through them. There's a lot of good comments in here. So anyway, hey guys, thanks for keeping the chat busy. Well, that's great. Appreciate it, man. So yeah, we're gonna get the hell out of here. Hope everybody has a good week. I'm gonna try to. I got a lot of stuff to get done this week. Oh, I did get good news that that painting I did for the book cover. Some of you might have seen it when I showed it on the show this weekend. It got approved by the author, so yay! Yay! I don't have to do any more edits. Yay! So we're gonna get out of here. So see you guys later. Have a happy Monday.
See you guys. Anima? Anima?
I try to give you guys your chance to say bye. Anima?
Wait.
All right. The immortal. Yeah. Yeah. Don't play along. Don't play along. Don't play along. We will get copyright on that. So, yeah. In the immortal words of Anima, we'll see you all later. Auf Wiedersehen. Oh, we lost her. Storm.
Oh.
All right. We're out of here, guys.